yes, deal with slave. No death of freedom, a valid choice. Those on the stone, you don't like you cowards. Do the late. This world is wrong to be.
What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Justin Total Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, the legacy of the WCW Hall of Fame. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. Can you do us a solid on social media and give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast? You guys were snickering a little bit when I said legacy earlier. What's going on here? What are we doing?
The WCW was like the first, like in '93. We'll get into it. They had a pay-per-view called Slamboree, and they decided to make it like a Legends reunion kind of thing. And for 3 years, WCW inducted members into the WCW Hall of Fame, and they did it every year on the pay-per-view of Slamboree. Little known fact that people probably will forget about is Andre the Giant was the first inductee of the WWF Hall of Fame. He was inducted in March of '93 on an episode of Raw, but WCW a couple of months later in May of '93 decided to do an entire pay-per-view, and they started inducting multiple members. So even though Andre was inducted first, WCW was the first to do like a pay-per-view thing on it. Later, WWE would try it. They would do a Class 94, Class 95, Class 96. Then they would stop all the way, and they wouldn't do it again until WrestleMania 20. And then they started with the 2004 Hall of Fame, which became the Hall of Fame that we know now. But WWF and WCW were kind of in the infant. They wanted to pay tribute to the legends, but they didn't know how to do it. WCW was the first company to do it on a pay-per-view level. They based an entire pay-per-view around it, where they would have matches from like these old legends, and they would put legends in the Hall of Fame, and then they would also have their current stars in matches too. So it was like, you could argue if it worked or not, but it was ambitious, and I really liked WCW for points like this, even though they were struggling. Even though ever since Turner bought WCW, they always kind of struggled to find their voice before the NWO was found. I appreciated that, like the Slamboree efforts and all that stuff. WCW tried; it didn't always work, but I wanted to talk about it and just be like, there's another Hall of Fame, motherfuckers.
They tried really hard.
It's not the Cauliflower Alley Club. It's not the NWA Hall of Fame. It's not the Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's not the WWE Hall of Fame. The WCW Hall of Fame was the first pay-per-view, like public Hall of Fame. It was.
I liked it when they paid homage to like the legends. It's like
and Gordon Soley got out there.
You pay, I mean, you're talking to a generation of fans and trying to school them on like what came before them. And Vince was never about looking backwards at all or wanting old people on his shows. It was always looking forwards. But so yeah, kudos for WCW for doing it first, and they did it kind of classy.
Now forever.
I think the WCW Hall of Fame is underrated, and I think what they were trying to do just was it almost worked, but it didn't quite. But like when you look back on it, you're like, wow, that was kind of ambitious. It was cool. Like it was cool for them to try that.
But I guess like everything,
you know what I mean? Like we get mad at young fans right now, right? Going, don't you remember the Rockin' '80s? Don't you remember? Like, and it's like, but people were doing it back then. Don't you remember the territories in the early '90s? The people, like the old wrestlers, like the San Martinos and like stuff like that, like they were mad at current wrestling fans because WWE or WWF was so syndicated that people started to only believe that WWF was the only promotion. So you had these old school wrestlers that would gravitate towards WCW because WCW at least tried to pay tribute to the past, and they were never afraid to do that. Vince didn't do it for a long time, and then Vince finally said, okay, cool, now we can have a Hall of Fame every single year, and it's its own fucking night, and we'll put 20,000 people in a fucking building for it, which is awesome. But back here, it's like, WCW and the old school wrestlers of yesterday were desperate to please remember the territories, please. And like, it's just kind of, it was sad, but it was also like, you know what? They were trying to be an alternative to WWF at this point. And I think that obviously that format won out because every year we look forward to a separate night with just the Hall of Fame inductees, right? Like it's a sit down appointment for us, when it comes on now. And back here in '93, WCW was like, we'll do a whole show.
It's a give and take now. I wouldn't pay the price of admission, I'll tell you that. But
No.
watch it on television. But well, here we go. Here we go, kids. The World Championship Wrestling WCW Hall of Fame was an American Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame maintained by WCW, established in 1993 to honor wrestlers who began their careers long before the 90s, mostly alumni of the National Wrestling Alliance, or NWA, and Jim Crockett Promotions, or JCP, the predecessors of WCW. So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of, when you think about it, that's where WCW kind of found those roots, was from these two places. It was Crockett and NWA for forever. And those were also the lines to the territories where that NWA World Champion would travel through. And you got to figure this was all fueled by people that hated Vince, for killing the territories. So you had those hangers on that were hired at random times to try to save WCW. And they were like, well, we're going to go the opposite. We're not going to do cartoon bubblegum, mainstream, bright colors. We're going to go back to black and white, Ernie the Cat Lad taking on Gary the Jumper Johnson, or whatever, like from the territory. Remember them in the good old, Carolina territory? Oh my goodness. Every Saturday I'd go watch that main event and they would tear the house down. And that's, I'm not saying you shouldn't. Yeah. I'm not saying you should. Yeah, at the Wrestletorium down at the corner of 45th Street, and whatever.
The Wrestletorium.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay homage to that, right? We all like wrestling now because it stemmed from somewhere. It did come from the territories. Vince's dad came from the territories. It absolutely did. Vince's dad at one point was on the NWA board, to the committee to elect champions and all that stuff. So it's important, but it's just like I look back now and we do this episode and I'm like, man, it was so weird. It's like they were trying to catch the audience up on the 1990s version of wrestling, but then they're like, no, let's go back in time. Like, fuck Vader, let's go back in time. It's like, no, like we want good wrestlers now. Wrestling changed. Syndicated television began to change in the 90s. Everything began to change. So it's like, it was just mistimed, right? And then after WCW went out of business, Vince could finally go, okay, now we can pay homage to the past. Of course you can, because you beat all the competition. So it's wrong timing, I guess, right?
It's in the details. It's like WCW just did everything wrong on the small level, whereas WWF was just attention. Once they executed it and they just did it right, they just kind of let someone else do it first, then do it better the next time.
Right.
But yeah, WCW just,
because when you look at it here, inductees received commemorative plaques. Ooh,
and they made them wrestle. That was the worst part of the whole thing, is they tried to force these Nick
they
Bockwinkel.
Tried to make these legends. Well, nowadays wrestlers in their 40s look good.
Yeah.
Back here, like Dick the Bruiser in his 40s and 50s, not so good. Dick Murdoch, not so good in his 40s.
Yeah.
It was a different day because now there's nutrition. There's all kinds of things wrestlers can do now. Wrestlers aren't into drinking and partying, by the way.
Yeah.
They don't like doing that. So they like to take care of their bodies now. Back here in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, like wrestlers were like, what are we going to do after there to kill the pain? We're going to fucking down a 12-pack of beer and we're going to fucking, you know what I mean? Like, and they just got fat and they went and ate bar food and all that stuff. And so when you got wrestlers in their 40s back in the day, it's
an ice bath and go eat healthy after that. Yeah.
They were beer bellied and all that stuff. Nowadays, wrestlers in their 40s are like fucking Randy Orton and AJ Styles. They look amazing.
They're shredded.
Like, they're shredded. Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler.
But this is kind of funny now when you look at it. They received commemorative plaques that had their names and portraits inscribed on them. And they were inducted by Gordon Solie, a senior commentator in professional wrestling. And I don't know why it's and received their plaque during the Legends Reunion segment at WCW's May pay-per-view event, Slamboree. That first Hall of Fame ceremony was held on May 23rd of 93 at Slamboree, and same year at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia.
Throughout the history of professional wrestling, a chosen few have scaled the peaks of excellence to become legends of sport. Tonight, the greatest of these have converged on Atlanta's Omni for a Legends Reunion. And as we honor the legends of the past, new history will be made as the heroes of the present battle for championship gold and personal glory. World Championship Wrestling presents Slamboree, a Legends Reunion.
Yes, let me go over the So the inductees of the
Let's do it.
1993 were Lou Thez,
Okay.
Vern Gagne,
Yeah.
Whee!
Mr. Wrestling
Yee.
2, Eddie Graham. Those were the first inductees into the 1993 Hall of Fame. And then, let me pull this up here too, because I want to talk about just the structure of the card. So here's the structure of the card, right? So like what Craig was talking about was like it was a WCW pay-per-view. So there was current wrestling of today. So here we go. The results of the 1993 Slamboree pay-per-view, the same event where they inducted those people that I just mentioned. Match number 1, Too Cold Scorpio and Marcus Bagwell defeated Bobby Eaton and Chris Benoit in a tag team match in 9 minutes. Sid Vicious defeated Van Hammer in 35 seconds. Dick Murdoch, Don Morocco, and Jimmy Snuka, which were legends at this point. They were in their 40s and way past their prime. Fought Wahoo McDaniel, Blackjack Mulligan, and Jim Brundell to a no contest in a 9-minute 6-man tag. Thunderbolt Patterson teamed with Brad Armstrong to defeat Ivan Koloff and Baron Von Raschke in a tag team match. 4 minutes. Dory Funk Jr. fought Nick
Painful to hear, let
Bockwinkel.
alone watch.
Dory Funk Jr. fought Nick Bockwinkel to a 15-minute draw. You think you could have booked the card a little
And
bit
you
better?
paid $30 for that privilege.
Right.
To watch
and then
that bullshit.
Rick Rude and Paul Orndorff defeated Dustin Rhodes and Kensuke Sasaki in
That's
9
great.
minutes. Sting defeated The Prisoner, which is Nails.
That's
in
not
5
great.
minutes. The Hollywood Blondes
WCW.
defeated Rick Steamboat and Shane Douglas in a steel cage match in 16
great.
minutes.
Dang.
Barry Windham defeated Arn Anderson to defend the NWA Heavyweight Championship in 10 minutes.
Oh my.
And Davey Boy Smith beat Big Van Vader by disqualification in the main event, 16 minutes.
Jesus.
So they had it halfway. They were trying.
We'll get you another. That's it. That's it. They're going to disqualify Vader. I tell you, Vader must have been in serious trouble and he did that. Look, there's bodies everywhere. Vader is going to be disqualified in this one.
Well, like I read the Legends
There's
match, and I
some-
remember watching the Legends match,
It's
going,
like,
"God
why?
damn, this is fucking awful!"
And that,
like
that's
this is
a
fucking
heavy that's a heavy card anyway. That's a long card. You didn't need those. You didn't need those guys wrestling. I
awful. You
find it kind of
could
funny. Like,
just do the Hall of Fame, right?
you-
Do some
you-
interviews with some legends. You
Ja-
don't have
hey-
to put them in the fucking ring,
sure. No. But Jess, no, you can't do that. You want this plaque? You got to wrestle. For it.
right?
Yeah.
You got to put fucking Dory Funk Jr. in there with Nick Bockwinkel way past their prime in their 50s. 15 minutes.
And here's your plaque. Here's your plaque. There you go.
And try
Have
to
a nice day.
entice
That's
the shrinking audience that you already have in the 1990s. Yeah, good job.
Oh my, yeah, nice work. Well, it gets even weirder. Following the 1995 ceremony, just 2 years later, Soley, who had both inducted the wrestlers and was an influential figure in the selections, resigned from WCW in protest.
I
Of
feel
Macho Man's
comfortable.
father.
Blah, blah.
It was his dad, right? Pafo.
Yeah, I didn't know this. So
Gordon.
Gordon Soley. So in 1995, Angelo Papo, which is Macho Man and Lanny Popo's dad, was inducted.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Gordon Soley protested it and said he's not worthy enough to be in this Hall of Fame that we only established a year ago. He's not worthy enough to be in this prestigious year-long Hall of Fame. So I guess Gordon Soley left the company. Okay.
Yeah,
Jim
bye.
Ross is
So weird.
Bye.
Yeah,
but in
like-
between,
This is the hill to die on, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You should not die on this hill ever. But in 1994, so they had another pay-per-view in 1994, Slamboree, May of 1994.
Sure.
The inductees were Harley Race, Ernie Ladd,
Okay.
the Crusher, Nick the Bruiser,
All right.
Ole Anderson, Masked Assassin, and that's it, actually. So that was that.
So
in 19
Ole's worthy, but Pafo's not. Okay.
Masked Assassin.
Well, no, this is 94. This is the year before. And the card,
That's what I'm
Or,
saying. You put in Ole, but you're mad about Pafo the next year, is what I'm saying. Like, okay.
sure.
Cool
Why
stuff.
not? Why not? And so
Why not?
then the card for the 1994 Slamboree was Steve Austin defending his United States Championship against Johnny B. Bad in 16 minutes. Terry Funk fought Tully Blanchard, which was a Legends match, which was fucking fun, by the way. Terry Funk fought Tully Blanchard to a DQ in 7 minutes. Larry Zbyszko defeated Lord Steven Ringle in a singles match in 11 minutes. Dustin Rose defeated Bunkhouse Buck in 12 minutes. Ric Flair defeated Barry Windham for the WCW World Heavyweight defended his WCW Heavyweight Championship against Barry Windham in 13 minutes. Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan defeated the Nasty Boys in a street fight, which is fucking awesome, in 9 minutes. And Sting defeated Big Van Vader for the WCW International Heavyweight Championship in the main event in 13 minutes.
Look at this! The Broad Street Bully Dave Schultz has pulled his jersey over! Oh, he catches up with the stick! There's a cover! 1, 2, 3!
The winners and new, ladies and gentlemen, the winners and new champions, Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan didn't realize what's going on!
So good matches there with the current stars, but and they went light, I noticed,
Just
on
one.
the Legends. They had Terry Funk and Blanchard, who weren't so far back in the past, so a little bit better of a card, I think, in 94.
They were wrestling
right?
well after this.
At least they learned.
Yes, yeah, they were trying.
But in 95, we obviously have the PAFO protest, apparently. And he being solely feels that the management only inducted him as a non-qualified person in favor to PAFO's son, to Macho Man, and one of the company's top draws there, which was, Randy Savage.
I did not know that was even a controversy. That's fucking crazy.
I mean, if there's one thing that we've learned about Randy over the years, he looks out for family.
I love my family. I love my fucking family.
You were talking about how he took care of his brother for years too, and got him paid even though he wasn't working. There's lots of things that Macho Man did for family, and maybe that's part of it. But I have a hard time believing that Papa is not worthy of this initiation. So, who were the
inductees in 1995 now were Wahoo McDaniel, Dusty Rhodes, Antonio Inoki, Angelo Popo, Terry Funk, Big John Studd, and Gordon Soley. After he got done announcing Big John Studd, they surprised him by saying, "You are also an inductee," and he's like, "I'm still gonna quit," and they put him in the Hall of Fame.
That's what I find weird about it. It's so weird.
He is the least known. He is the least known name on that list, but not enough to where he shouldn't be honored at some point.
Why would you
who
shit
cares?
on that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, again, like Dave said, don't die on that hill.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And the card for the 1995 Slamboree pay-per-view was the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobbs, Jerry Sags defeated Harlem Heat.
I want them to fight
minutes.
just two old guys. That'd be so funny.
Kevin Sullivan defeated the Butcher in 5 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Wahoo McDaniel defeated Dick Murdoch in a singles match in 6 minutes. Why?
My God.
The Great Muda defeated Paul Orndorff in 14 minutes for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. It not so good. Arn Anderson, with Ric Flair in his corner, defeated Alex Wright for the television championship in 11 minutes. One of my favorite endings of an Arn Anderson match ever. Meng defeated Meng and the Road Warrior Animal went to a double count out. Why, I don't know.
Wow.
Bing defeated Big Bubba Rogers by submission in 9 minutes, Big Bubba Rogers being the Big Boss Man. And in the main event, Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage defeated Ric Flair and Vader in a tag team match in 18 minutes and 57 seconds.
I'm not mad at most of that.
So no legends in that one.
No, just Wahoo and Dick.
That's
Murdoch,
right.
Yeah,
that's right.
But here's the thing that I'm not even.
And the Butcher and Kevin Sullivan.
Actually, the main event was pretty old.
And Alex Wright.
I know we always ask this question. The answer is WCW got WCW, but like why do you put on the card anything of a double count out? Why even have the match?
It's drama. What are you upset?
What are we doing?
So much
I love
drama
that even in their 50s and 60s, they're like, I'm not going over.
I'm not jobbing.
They all have to be like DQs and countouts or no contests.
I'm not losing.
I'm not.
I'm Wahoo McDaniel. Well, I'm Dick Murdoch. What?
Well, no.
Are we gonna draw? We're gonna draw. Or we're gonna draw.
No, Wahoo and Dick went to a decision. It was the other douchebags that went to a double count. It was
you're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's like what are we doing? I mean,
WCW.
Yeah, just WCW all the time. It's WCW.
You're putting Road Warrior Hawk and Meng on a pay-per-view.
You got a pay-per-view.
There's no reason for that.
That's a WCW Saturday night. Road Warrior Hawk fights Meng. It's like,
We
So
gotta
true.
get him paid.
We
gotta
love
get him
May
paid,
and we
folks.
love
I'll be out
Road
in
Warrior
5
Hawk,
minutes.
but it's not.
Yeah.
That's not a marquee singles match at all.
Not at all.
Oh,
Sully was the only. Just a little head note. Sully was the only non-wrestler to have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and overall there were 17 inductees. So, Jess,
Do it again.
I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but
Paul.
are any of these Hall of Fame inductees not in the WWE Hall of Fame? Like even in the
fuck!
like the
There's
Legends
got to be a
class?
few.
I don't think the Masked Assassin is in the WWF Hall of Fame.
No, well, WWF started doing something like I don't want to say weird.
It's like a Legends category or something weird. It's
Yeah,
weird
they
wing.
did. They started.
Yeah.
They had the celebrity category, and it was a weird like achievement category. And so they would
Yes.
induct like 5 people in a row. There was a couple years where they did like 5 people in a bundle. It's weird. So I don't know. I don't know if the Crusher is in or Dick the Bruiser. I'm not sure. Antonio Inoki.
I was wondering. I don't think Macho's dad's in it. I don't think.
No, he is not. He is not for sure.
And
but,
definitely Sully is not.
Yeah, of course, Dusty Rhodes is. Vern Gagne
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
Harley Race is. Luthez,
Yep.
I think, is.
Yeah.
I believe he is. Yeah.
I don't think Dick the Bruiser or the Crusher is. I could be wrong. I don't think so. Gordon Soley is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, just there's some that are and some that are not. Like
I think it'd be interesting.
Thunderbolt
to take-
Patterson, I don't think is at all.
I mean, since you own it now at this point, you own everything that WCW is. You should take this wing and kind of throw it all in there as a cool little, it'd be a nice little.
Or just
for
one
the
year,
Hall of
just
Fame
say,
one
hey,
year.
we're gonna put every inductee in the WCW Hall of Fame.
We're gonna
make sure
put
they're in.
we're gonna put the Slamboree Hall of Fame into the Hall of
That
Fame.
just seems like such a no-brainer. Down the road, at some point, they should have.
Yeah,
like,
it's already
to not
there.
even
You
to
already
completely
own it.
ignore and be like, "Fuck them." It's like,
or to be
think
weird,
that'd be
or
cool.
not to be weird, but to be cool, they should actually just do something kind of rogue and just be like, you know what, we're gonna induct Slamboree as a concept into the Hall of Fame because it started like this mass induction of Hall of
And
Fame.
with that,
Mhm.
We have the Slamboree wing of
Yeah.
Hall of Famers. We're gonna put these
Yeah.
17 people in. Some
Except
of them are
for
already in, but
Angelo
they're gonna have
Papa,
their
we're not
special
gonna
wing there
do,
as
and
well.
just to do it, except
Yeah.
for Angelo Papa.
Die on this hill. Yeah. Lanny said no.
And the spirit of Gordon Soley is smiling on us all.
That's interesting.
I just thought it was kind of fun. I thought
this
this was kind of a fun topic. Like people, everybody knows the WWE Hall of Fame right now, but WCW started it and they put it on a pay-per-view. They tried to make a big deal out of it, and for 3 years they tried to do this weird combination of let's have today's stars fight and fuck it, we'll just get the old wrestlers in there, like that have no idea like how to perform for
that's
today's
where they
crowd.
went overboard. That's where Dusty got too creative.
and I like that it always felt like they had more matches actually growing up and watching all these Slamborees, but it was the first one they thought, let's cram an hour of old people down their throats.
Right.
And then they realized, terrible idea, lowest buy rate ever, no one's ever going to do it. And the feedback, and they probably were like, okay, we'll just have one match.
And then they start every year they started to get
yeah.
a little better, and
they were good.
started
They were just
changing.
like brawls, as you said. It was like a lot of Wahoo and Dick Murdoch and
What's funny though is that WWE did do something a little similar, but it was more like when they did the gimmick Royal Rumble, it was more like gimmick characters. But all of those guys were like, they were gone. But it was like so fun to see them. So it was sometimes just the way you deliver it, I guess.
Health and maintenance was different in the 80s, right? Like when you got in your 40s, your fucking tires were flat. You were alone.
Well,
like,
you ran those guys pretty ragged. They wrestled
Yeah.
2 to 3 times a day, 6 days, 7 days a week, and they traveled all the time.
They wrestled like over
extra
350 days a year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
so I don't know. I thought it was a little fun. Quick
I
episode
love
for
it.
everybody.
Fantastic. For audio fans, give us a listen. on
I
Apple,
will
Spotify,
not
SoundCloud, iHeartRadio.
Be in this
Stitcher, and
company
Google
if
Podcasts.
Angelo Pavo gets put in. Like I don't know why he was so stuck on that. That makes me fucking laugh.
Or watch our videos. I agree. On
He's
YouTube
fine,
at our
and then
wrestling
they hear
channel.
Angelo Pavo. He's like, huh? And he just
That's
fucking
it.
chirped up in the
he
background.
never
then,
even
like,
wrestled in the Iowa Cornatorium.
And
How
at
dare
the
you.
end, they're like, should we still
Fuck
surprise him
you,
with his own
Randy.
plaque?
Fuck you.
I'm
The
kind of pissed
only
at Sully
reason-
right now.
Sorry. Did you
I
finish
can
it?
just see him going, we shouldn't give him his plaque. Fuck that guy.
Fuck you, Randy.
yeah.
You're just trying to get your dad, and I'm out of here. And he's like,
I wanted to
to
surprise Sully with his own plaque, but screw that guy.
I really don't care, yeah.
I really don't care.
Did you say have a
Yeah.
good one, Dave? Sorry, I talked over you, I think.
No, I can't even remember where I was. I'll start over. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts.
let
Or watch
me
our videos on
continue to
YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. For Dave, GS, and Craig, this is the OWP signing off. Have a good one, Lanny.
Don't ever disrespect my dad.
Yes, to your own slave. The death of freedom of father choice. Doesn't this don't need to let you